Hey, welcome to the Desmond Ong Show. Now, in this podcast, what we're going to do is that we're going to be discussing with an accountant. Now, this is going to be interesting because for most business owners, they don't talk to the accountant every single day. They talk to them maybe at most once a week, once a month, maybe once a year for most business owners. So today, I want to have this opportunity to really go inside the mind of an accountant, someone who is very accomplished and very experienced, to dig down some solutions that she could potentially give out during times like this. Now, bear in mind that as I'm recording this, at this particular moment, we are still being locked down, quarantined, or whatever term you want to use. Essentially, we have to stay at home. We can't go out and we can't run our business as usual. And hopefully, Ms. Mee Ling, who is an invited guest today on this podcast, is going to be able to give us a little bit of an idea. With that said, today's guest, Ms. Mee Ling, owns an accounting firm by the name of HML Co. So, Ms. Ho, it's good to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, it's fantastic to have you here. First of all, I just want to get started by throwing you some easy questions to get started with, which is the fact that let's go with, how about you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, so people can justify why they should listen to you.
I see. Okay, my name is Mee Ling. I'm an accountant, so I've been in this line for more than 20 years. I started my firm also 20 years ago. There we provide auditing, tax, accounting services to companies in Malaysia. All this while, yeah.
Okay, so the main focus of today's podcast is I want to really talk about small, medium enterprises, because I see a lot of those online netizens. They are, well, business owners are suffering right now. I don't know if you know, like a lot of F&B, hospitality, tourism, business owners, the industry leaders, they're coming out online telling people that, hey, you know, we're suffering right now. We are using the last piece of savings that we have. We are liquidating our assets. We're selling my property just so that we can fund the business and ensure we don't lay off anyone. So I want you to maybe share a little bit of your thoughts and sentiments, as well as your, what do you think about business owners' situation right now? Because we know the government just announced a few stimulus packages all around the world as well. But let's just focus here in Malaysia. Why don't you share your thoughts about what's going on right now and what business owners can do?
Actually, at the moment, I think all of us, not only business owner, are worried because we do not know what is ahead of us, right? A lot of uncertainties. And now we are still under the MCO, and we don't know when the MCO end, what will happen. Because now it's like most of the business cannot do their business as usual. Only very, very minimal, very, very few types of business can still continue their business and continue to have income. So when you cannot do business, of course, then there will not be cash flow coming in because you have no sales, right? But for costs, some of the costs are fixed. It's not all the costs are variable. Like if let's say you're selling products, maybe if you don't buy products, then that is variable. So you do not need to outflow for the purchase of the stock. But you still need to pay your staff, you still need to pay rent, you still need to pay a lot of other costs, which is fixed. Right. So this will be quite burdensome actually to companies. So our government,
so that's why the cash flow management for companies are so important. What's going on right now is, from what I understand, you know, a lot of retail-based business, like retail-based businesses, they get hurt the most, number one, and not only retail, we're also talking about tourism-based businesses. It's insane. I was just talking to a owner of a tourist agency. She was telling me that she has never gotten so much refund requests ever. Okay, and she couldn't even give out a refund because if she does, she had to shut down the company literally tomorrow. It's absolutely insane, right? And we're in tough times right now, and I think everybody needs to work together and see how we can unite together to fight this particular situation. But I'm sure you have some suggestions, you have some ideas, you know, from your perspective, which is interesting. Because my personal CFO always tell me this, Desmond, entrepreneurs are optimistic, accountants are pessimistic. So let's go from your perspective. Let's talk about this, right? What would you do if you're a business owner, right? What would you do if you're a CFO of a company, like a small, medium enterprise? What would you do?
So I will start to look for cash. Where can I get some cash for the company when we restart the business again? I mean, when we come back after the MCO. So there are some cash that we still need to pay now during the MCO. Example, our rental and salary. And our government, like what you say just now, our government is have given some incentive in this area, or some encouragement in the rent reduction by giving additional deduction to the landlord. Yeah. So because cash flow is like the blood to our body. So if a company do not have cash flow, they basically cannot run. So they must do something, take some action, maybe go into negotiation with their suppliers, with their customers, look at their customer aging now, and talk to their customer and see if the customer can ease some payment to them earlier. By maybe they can also offer some discounts to the customer so that they can get the cash, and speak to their supplier so that they can delay the payment, ask the supplier to understand the situation that they are in. But actually, everybody is in the same situation. But the cash must move. If there's no cash movement, the whole economy will be standstill, because everybody hold back the cash. Then no movement at all.
Yeah. So for me,
Yeah.
I personally believe that, like, for me, from my perspective, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think cash is not going to move, and here's the reason why. I would love. I mean, in an ideal world, the customer pays the supplier. Ideal world. But customers right now, if you want to call them and collect payment, it's getting a little bit difficult because they are afraid. They themselves are trying to conserve money, right? And which I truly understand, especially with B2B markets and B2B industries. So, like, what's your thought? Like, I was thinking, you know what, I was consulting one of the businesses, and what they do is that they're like the middleman. Like, they have a supplier, and then they're offering to another business, so that the business is actually a retailer, so the customer is retailer. And the retailers, the clients or the customers they have, they don't want to pay because they are concerned if they pay, they have to close shop. So they can't pay the supplier, and they are asking the supplier, which is the company that I'm consulting with, saying that, hey, let's defer this payment, let's postpone this payment. And so they're not getting money. So what I was telling them to do is, you know, I would love your perspective about this, because this is what I did and this is what I advise. I say, hey, why not merge the companies together? Why not, if your retailer's not paying you, why not you get them to pay you in the form of shares? Do a merger, right? And you own a small percentage of their company, okay? Because they can't pay you right now. But after all of this is over, at least you're developing, you're growing your assets list, you're growing your balance sheet for your company. So I would like your thoughts on that. Like, what do you think about merging right now? Like, if you can't collect cash, how about offering to the particular client that you have, hey, how about we fight through this together, we merge together, we become an even stronger company, right? And you control the customer front arm, and I control the supplier side arm, right? What's your thought about this?
Interesting idea, actually. Yeah. So if these two parties, they can work together and they can come into agreement on like who is controlling what and how many shares is being transacted in this deal, I think it's very interesting. Then they will grow even stronger. But it's not very easy. I think they need a lot of discussion, a lot of compromise to come to an agreement, actually. But it's an interesting idea, actually.
It's tough to negotiate deals like this, but I find it a lot tougher to actually get people to pay right now, because you know when market is down, I don't know if you remember 2008, 2009, when market is down, when people are fearful, like, getting people to open their purse strings are actually very difficult, right? You have to give them like an insane discount. I was telling another client of mine, hey, listen, she had about this is insane. Like, she had people. There's a huge company, listed company, owing her 3 million ringgit Malaysia, 3 million, and have not been paying since end of last year. So and they would rather go to court than pay the 3 million. So it's insane, like how much fear is in the market right now. But let's move on to the topic of cash flow management. I want to talk a little bit about cash flow management. What can a company, like a small business, do to manage cash flow to essentially be able to ensure that they can last as long as possible?
Yeah, that's to negotiate, actually. But just now, because since you raised the listed company, I have a friend who is also an accountant. She worked in a listed company. She shared this with me. She said every month the company will have inflow. That means they will have collection, right? So this collection is not sufficient to pay everybody. They have so many creditors, so many suppliers, so many things that need to pay. So they will have priorities in paying certain people or certain companies. And it depends how important you are to the company to get your payment actually. And if let's say you're not asking the 3 million at one go, maybe it's easier for you to get some payment. Maybe arrange for installment, like longer installment, smaller amount, the acceptable amount by your debtors, so that the thing can move instead of going to court. It's like, it's very unpleasant actually.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like going to court, nobody wins. It's a lose-lose situation. So right now, it's really a lot of, for businesses right now, I think the key thing is, even if you have no negotiation skills, you got to go develop negotiation skills right now. It's all about deferment. It's all about getting payment in installment. It's all about controlling cash flow. So let's go a little bit deeper about this in terms of cash flow. What else can a company do besides negotiating with the supplier or negotiating with the customer to control the cash flow a lot more sufficiently?
First, the company must find out what is already available. That means already announced, already make known to everybody. Because some of the people also don't understand what is the deferment of the loan, and they will not want to take this. They might call the bank. Somebody just told me this morning that they decided they do not want the deferment. They decided to continue with the installment. That is because the person may not understand what this deferment means to them. Because like, since it's a deferment and you do not need to apply for it, then just enjoy it first, because we do not know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Enjoy the deferment first until at least after the MCO, maybe 2 months later.
Why do people want to take the deferment? I don't understand, because from my perspective, deferment is like a bonus.
Correct. But I'm also surprised when the person told me that they do not want to go for the deferment. I asked them what's the reason. They say the interest is going to be very high. So I asked them how they calculate the interest. All this, maybe they have a misunderstanding on what is going to happen to them if they accept this deferment.
I think it's because the government is using the wrong term. I don't think the deferment is the right way to call it, because it's a technical word. For accountants, great. You guys understand it, but for average Joe, I don't think they understand what deferment is. They could have used terms like pause or payment holiday, which is a very common term used in the UK, right? And things like that. And people will be, and then the worst thing is, I actually agree why people want to not defer, because I saw a lot of fake news being shared online, telling people that, hey, if you defer, your interests are going to compound and you're going to be paying. And it's all because of fake news. Today, we're in a world right now where people cannot think, and what they do is that whatever they read online must be true. And that's so nonsensical, and it's just the way it is. So talk more about your clients. I'm sure you have a lot of clients calling you right now, asking you, should I do this, should I do that? Why don't you share some case studies without naming any companies or without naming anyone? Maybe share some case studies, because I would like to know, what are these people asking you, and what's the the things that's going on your side.
So we come back to the bank loan deferment, right? So the deferment only applicable to term loans and the hire purchase, not the credit cards. So don't go for the credit cards. So, people must understand what is available. So if they understand this already, actually it's beneficial to them to accept this deferment, because it is given. Then they just follow. And then they do not need to come up with cash for 6 months at least. So this part already make their cash flow better by 6 months by this installment. Then for KWSP, the government also has given this opportunity for business owner to go and negotiate with the KWSP for deferment of the KWSP as well, to restructure the payment of KWSP. So take this opportunity. Business owners should go and talk to the KWSP how they want to restructure their payment, so that they don't get penalized, right? So, and then the IRB also is given tax payment holiday for 3 months. So don't pay, because since they say do not need to pay, so from April, May, June, these 3 months, you do not need to pay your tax installment. You can just save the cash for other things. And since the what do you call that already? The wage subsidy program is now quite clear already, and already can apply. If it's SME, I mean, if it's a micro or small company, look at the definition. It's as long as you're less than 75 staff, they allow you to claim 1,200 per staff per month. So you will get 3 months of free money for this, at least help you to pay your staff, right? So, and then they now also ease the how to say, they allow the employer to negotiate with the employee. Earlier on, they were very strict. They say you cannot negotiate, you cannot cut the pay, you cannot use leave, to offset the pay. But now they are more lenient. They allow employer to speak to the employees. I think employees also will understand, because now everybody is in the very, very difficult situation. It's for sustainability. Right. So negotiate also with your employee and see how the situation is, and then what is the acceptable amount to them, because we also need to think about our employee, because they also have commitment. Company also have commitment, employees also have a commitment. So negotiate and get a win-win figure so that the company can sustain and hopefully get out of this as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah. So basically the lesson here is to take advantage of the programs that are out there. So starting with wage subsidy. Wage subsidy, if it's less than 35 people, you say it's about 1,200 ringgit. That's amazing, because if you got like 50 employees, that's quite a significant amount of money, right?
Correct.
And it can go really, really far. It will help you to sustain a lot more, because usually for most companies, payroll and wages are the number one expenses for companies, especially for small companies. But let's also discuss a little bit about debt, right? Because the government lowered the lending rate and lowered the interest rate to 3.5% for businesses to borrow. So let's talk a little bit about, I personally think that's a really bad move. And the reason is because they should have made it non-recourse, like what the US is doing. And they should have done a better program like the UK is doing. Now, I know it's better than what we have on a usual basis. But what they're really, in my opinion, for those of you who are listening and you do not know about this, what's going on is that the Malaysia government, basically our interest rate for our bank loan is about 8%, 9%, depending on credit rating. And they will borrow about 20% of your working capital. 20% working capital of your revenue. So let's say your revenue is $1 million, they'll borrow 200,000. That's usually what's the bank loan that they will approve for you. And right now they lowered it to 3.5%. And they're borrowing money. They call it the Special Relief Fund, I believe, SRF. But the issue,
Special Relief Facilities.
Correct, SRF. And the issue for me is that the fact that number one, it just seems like another bank loan. It just seems like another. It's not really a facility. It's not really a fund. It's not really about helping. It's not really a stimulus. I feel like everything here is hyped up. I feel like the government is not doing enough when it comes to creating debt for companies to take on. Like, what's your thought on this? Like, I would love from your thought. Like, for me as an entrepreneur, I feel like government could do a lot better than 3.5%. And government can do a lot better by helping. Instead of loaning out working capital, they should be loaning out maybe they can call it whatever they want. It could be quarantine fund or quarantine facility. I don't care. But what I'm not happy is that it's still another working capital loan. So what's your thought about this?
On the loan, on the special relief facilities.
Yeah.
Right? You were asking about that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So 3.5%. Well, it's already lower from the normal interest rate. And these facilities do not require collateral. So you can borrow without charging any of your assets.
But you need to be a personal guarantee to the loan. So, which in my opinion, that is absolutely nonsense. It's like I think the loan is nonsense, because if you compare it to other countries, now I know a lot of people say don't compare it to other countries. Why would you compare it to the US, and why would you compare it to the UK? And I always ask this question: why not? If we want to create more entrepreneurs, we want to create a more thriving marketplace, we need to model after countries that are effective at what they're doing. So that's why I think your thoughts is going to be very, very valuable here.
I think the government would love to do more, but then in view of the current situation, because our country also rely a lot on oil prices.
Mm-hmm.
And today, the oil price has dropped tremendously.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's like they would like to help, but maybe they don't have enough, to give out. And they need to take care of the rakyat, the people. They have taken out some money for that already. And then this on the subsidy also is going to is like giving out money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for this SRF, it's actually a loan, much lower rate loan as compared to the normal one, and you do not need to have collateral. Yeah, so I think I don't know. There are some trade association, some leaders in the trade association has come out and say that government should consider giving it at 2%. That means same rate like the micro credits scheme, because now the micro credit scheme is 0%, the interest free. So now they actually come out and request. I'm not sure whether it can be done.
But micro credit, we're really talking about those like pasar malam store owners, like kind of people, like market, like really small businesses, isn't it? Yeah, but here's the thing that I don't understand. These small businesses, they're so small that they most likely don't have any employees, right? And why aren't business? Why
so
aren't
they
the
won't
government
be able to claim the subsidy.
Yeah. So that's why I believe that help should be given.
So actually for the
businesses.
for the very small, maybe the government thinks, since you are like SME, so SME owners normally will think harder and fight, coming out stronger. Maybe that's what they think.
Well, do you think this is a political move? This is a question that I see a lot of people on the internet are talking. What they're doing is to satisfy a bigger crowd so that they win the election the next time. So do you think this is related to a political move? Do you think this is purely they want to help people, or this is their strategy? What is it?
Personally, to me, I can't comment whether it is a political move. But personally, when I listen to the speech by the Prime Minister, I feel very touched actually. I felt this government is thinking about everybody. This is the first time that SME get subsidies, Before this, all the subsidies will go to the rakyat only. No, but I mean, the company will not be getting anything like this, So I felt, well, it's already very good. I don't know, maybe I'm an easily satisfied person. So when I listen to the speech, I really think, wow, it's so good. The government actually is also thinking about SME. But of course, today they have given an even better package to the SME.
Right.
So of course, if the rate can come down, that will be good. But we also need to think, whether they can afford or not. Because,
as you said, the oil prices definitely affected the package that Malaysia can offer. And Malaysia has always been too dependent on the oil price, just like how Japan is very dependent on tourism. And when tourism declined, their whole entire country GDP was slashed. So this is where I want to ask you a really thought-provoking question. Like, my job here is to provoke you in a way that you come up with amazing ideas, so that my listeners and the listeners that are listening to this, they get to learn so much, because when we're out of a little bit of our comfort zone, we come up with crazy ideas. So let's just say you are elected as the finance minister, okay? And the prime minister has tasked you to come up with a stimulus package to help specifically small business owners, right? We're talking about the small business owners that's doing at least a revenue of 500,000 and above, all the way to, let's say, 25 million. Okay, give us a little bit of an idea. What kind of package, what kind of benefit would you include in your own stimulus package? I think it will be interesting and really thought-provoking if you think about it. Like, what would you put inside a stimulus package?
Well, actually, as an accountant, first we must see what is in the coffer. That means, how much do we have, right? Then only we will look at, like, maybe each of the category, and then how each category can benefit the economy of our country, and then allocate in that in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So of course I don't know how much is in the coffer, so I don't know. And yeah, so if let's say for example, now all the SME said you must support the SME, because the SME are the ones that give job to the people.
Right.
So that's why the government improve the package, because they see the reason behind. It's not really the SME very greedy for money. So that's why they revise it, you know. So yeah, I mean, giving money to the poor is also very important. As we read in news, many people do not have meals on their plate for days, you know, because of MCO. Yeah, so those people also need to be taken care of. Yeah, but there are many middle class. I think middle class, we still surviving, and then companies still paying salary. Most of the company are paying salaries. Most of my friends are paying salaries, full salaries to staff, you know. So for entrepreneur, I believe many entrepreneurs also same, because we are all human beings. We also will have our heart, you know. We also will think about our employees, you know, our teams.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think it's so important here, because you know, no matter what the government do, and no matter what the finance minister do, and no matter what stimulus packages plan out, there will always be haters and there will always be complainers, because there will always be one group that is left out. So let's agree on that. So what are the groups that's left out? You know, one of the things that I truly believe is that I think this is you know, the stock market has this thing called market correction, where essentially, you know, when the price is too high, it will correct itself and go all the way back to the original value it should be at. And I think what's going on right now is that we're having a business culture correction in a way that it's trying to adapt to, you know, what happens. Like, one of the things that I always am really a big focus on is I tell my businesses, the businesses that I'm consulting, I say, hey, listen, your business, you need to go direct to consumer. You cannot just go through like wholesaler and distribution. You need to see how I can set up a website, e-commerce website, that my consumers and my end consumers can directly go to my website and order right away, which is what we call direct to consumer. So I want to talk about evolution of business, and I want to talk about adaptation of business, right? You consult and you help a lot of businesses on your portfolio. So I want to just discuss a little bit and have a little bit of discussion. What can business do to evolve during this lockdown quarantine crisis, right? Maybe in terms of business model, let's discuss that a little bit, right? What do you think they can do?
What they can do?
Yeah, to still get sales and still operate. Let's say, for example, restaurants, we know that they're pivoting to delivery, you know?
Move to online.
Okay.
I mean, move to online as soon as possible, you know, as fast as you can, you know. Now, because only the online business can continue. But of course, we don't know whether how successful these business are, the online. Maybe some are very successful, some are not as well. Yeah. One of our clients, they were serving businesses actually, because they sell produce to companies. Now, because the company cannot operate, so they have no customer. So they change their model. They sell to individual. So it become B2C, to sell direct to the customer. But the system need to be able to cope, because suddenly previously maybe they have 200 customers. Now maybe they have to serve 5,000 customers. So it's like so many orders they need to process, you know, and need to deliver. So they need to, I mean, like there are many things also need to be changed or improved in such a short time, and in a very restrictive situation now. Because now, if you want to order a computer, maybe you cannot get it, you know, you need to wait. Maybe you cannot get the technician, you cannot get it programmed, you know. So it's like too short a time for the company to really evolve and be successful. But company need to try, need to think what are the ways, you know, as much as they can do to save their business at this moment. I'm sure some cannot at all, totally, you know. Some of the situation is really very hard for them to evolve and have sales immediately. Yeah. But since the MCO is so long, I mean, maybe it will be extended. I do not know. I hope not. But for the benefit of the whole Malaysia, like if need to extend, then have to extend. Then I mean, business owner or together with their team need to think what are the things that they can change to improve. Maybe they need to digitalize, or they need to automate, or they need to whatever, you know.
You see, this is why I
will
think
have
it's a
different things.
correction of skill set for employees too. Like employees who cannot go online and cannot do online stuff, right now they are being phased out. Like if you ask me, like a business owner, like if I mean, let's be honest, Mee Ling, if you're a CFO of a company, 1,000 people in your company, and you have been tasked by your CEO to lay off 20% of your workforce, you most likely are gonna lay off the 20% that cannot adapt to the MCO and cannot adapt to the future and cannot adapt to the present. So this is where I think people need to invest in themselves. Like, ask yourself, how can I be of value to your own company instead of trying to look for another job, which is impossible right now. Instead of trying to look for opportunities, ask yourself, hey, my company is struggling right now. What can I do to provide value for my company? Like for example, let's say I work in a restaurant, I'm a restaurant manager, and I'm so concerned of getting laid off. So what do? I tell my boss, listen, boss, I'm your restaurant manager. I want to be responsible in helping this business grow. I'm going to go take an online web design class. I'm going to build a website for the company so that you can have your menu on the company website, and then people can order through the website. You know, for a boss like that, what you just said just now, you just become a very valuable asset to the company. Exactly. So ask yourself right now, how can you be of value to the community and to the people around it, instead of asking, because Meaning online is the worst space on social media. People complain all the time. The boss is not paying me on time. Boss is asking me to take 2 weeks unpaid leave, right? No, instead of complaining, how about we start brainstorming what are the things that we can do to be of value? What are the things that we can do to ensure that the company that we're working can survive and thrive in this crisis economy that we're in?
Right.
So I'm just curious, like, how are your companies doing? Because you have a lot of companies under you. So what are the companies doing, and any interesting thing stories that you can tell?
You mean about our client?
Yeah.
Oh.
You don't need to name your clients, obviously.
I just quoted one example.
Yeah, the deferment. Yeah, I hear a lot of that.
Changing to B2C. Actually, I also seen some of my friends. They also come up with, actually, just now talking about restaurant. They are actually people. They are the coming forward, to help others. Actually, they come up with a platform that people can order food there. I mean, order, but then they don't really deliver. You have to arrange yourself. It's not like Grab food, that kind of thing. Not so advanced. A more simplified one to help restaurant. I do come across this kind of. It's also our client actually. They come up with this kind of initiative. Set up this kind of platform so that the restaurant all can put their menu there very fast. Like in a couple of days, it's up, and then just need to market it online.
Yeah, I see what people are doing is, I don't know if this is in everywhere else, but in Klang Valley, what other people are doing is that they're creating like Kota Damansara group, Petaling Jaya group, Damansara group. And what happened is that they have all these like little boroughs, and then they create a Facebook group for all of this, and then they add a bunch of people that live in that area into this Facebook group, and then they'll promote like their food and fish and groceries and things like that, and then they'll do delivery. Instead of building a website, they gather a bunch of people that live within a specific radius and get people into the Facebook group, and then they just promote their products and services in the Facebook group. It's so interesting because so many businesses, even like, I mean, think about it. If you sell fish, if you sell seafood in a wet market, now you're doing online business because you are using Facebook group, you are selling your fish online, which is crazy because a year ago, if you're asking me, is someone that sells fish in a wet market would go online, it's you're most likely gonna say no, right? Because the people that does this usually they never thought about going online at all. But this correction and this crisis economy that we're in, it's forcing people to be innovative, be creative, and at the end of the day, I always believe that creative people and innovative people are going to last the longest, because you can throw anything at them, they will just turn whatever you throw to them and then make it even better, right? And I think it's awesome, it's fantastic. So I want to just end this with just I just want to end this little quick call that we have here with question, which is, I've got quite a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs and small business owners that are listening to this. what one big advice from your perspective that you can give to them so that they can take it to heart, implement it?
Well, just cash flow, I already said. So as long the first thing must survive through this crisis. Second thing, think about what will happen next, because everybody will live differently after this. After the MCO, everybody will live their life differently. So think about what your business need to do so that you will be also updated. You will also be in line, with the crowd instead of just left behind. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all for me. Yeah.
Fantastic. Hey, Mee Ling, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. It's really thought-provoking. It's good to have you here. I think we have some good sharing. I hope that people listening to this, listeners, you can use some of these techniques and strategies in your own business. Perhaps, last a couple more months. You never know what you could do. And definitely when the government is giving you benefits, take it. Don't complain.
Yeah,
right? Take it and see how you can. Just take everything, right? We'll figure it out later. We'll need to survive from this.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Mee Ling, that's all that I have. Thank you so much for coming on here. How can my listeners find out more about you? Do you have a website or maybe social or anything at all?
Yeah, we have a website. It's HML, the www.hml.com.my. That's our website.
www.hml, H as in Hungary and Malaysia and Nigeria, HML, right?
Yes.
Hungary, Malaysia and London.com.
High, medium, low.
High, medium, low. There you go. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. So you can check her out if you need her services. I'm sure she can provide some really amazing services. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.